Oh, man.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Rally Podcast. I'm Mike White, here with Logan Cornelius in the clouds and Shaun Boyer snacking on some Chex Mix. Glad to have you here today. It'll be kind of a quick one. Not going to say names, but someone showed up a little late. Not going to say names. I think it was all three of us, actually. Where was Logan? Are you pointing to yourself?
I don't know who's around me, so if I point, it's just generic. So.
Beautiful. No one's around you.
Well, I know my screen orientation is different from yours.
Got it. Okay. All right. So today we got a couple topics we're going to go through, and actually just kind of one we're going to go through, and then we asked for some questions on the SRA Instagram page. We're going to run through some of those as well. So thanks for listening, and we're going to kick it off with this one from our producer, Andrew Gasaway, who kind of was asking about the SRA season and the changes that go year over year because, soon the SRA 2021 season plan and rules and all of that stuff will be announced. Kind of gets you thinking about the changes over the past few years. And recently I was looking back at the history of Roundnet seasons year over year. And some years we did a lot of changes. Some year we did few changes. And I think we kind of want to talk about the philosophy behind that. As such a young sport, do we have the flexibility to change a lot? Should we keep it pretty static? I guess let's start with that. Do you think what are some advantages and disadvantages to keeping it the same, essentially pretty similar over the years?
I think that obviously, I think one of the hardest things is the people who are in it and who are good at it won't necessarily want to see too much change because they're successful at it. But on the broader level, I think with a sport like ours that is so young, these changes can be eye-opening or lead to new developments or help advance it faster than it would otherwise. So it's this kind of give and take of the people in it wanting the best for the sport, but also not wanting to lose what they love, which is it's tough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think like advantages certainly like it allows us to kind of experiment and discover the game in a new way. I think one, like us being young allows us to be a little bit more flexible in how we test the sport. Like it's so new and doing it. It's like certainly the advantage of these rule changes are we're able to see like different dynamics. Like, okay, how does this affect the game and get longer term data throughout a whole season? Like if we do this and it's like I don't think when we make a rule change, we're not married to that. Like we can always go back if we have the data, but then once we extrapolate it and have it over a whole season, like, oh, clearly that didn't work. We can always change it. Like we have that. So I think that's a positive. Negatives are like you could potentially have a good thing going and then like you change something and then it makes it worse. And then it's like, oh, then if like 3 months in, you're like, oh, this is horrible. Are you going to change that? Who knows? But there's a lot of flexibility. So
I'm thinking of this, and there's two senses, right? There's the rule changes, which we do every year, and we haven't had really any years where we've had drastic rule changes, at least in my opinion. Maybe we'll add a couple things about hinders, or one year we added the double body, but really hasn't been anything drastic. I think nowadays is what's coming up about. Should we be making drastic changes into the rules? That's a different thing. And then the other thing, we talk about the rules first. The other thing is like just the SRA format in general. We went from having nothing to having a premier division. We went from having a premier division to having a pro division. We went to having pro divisions at Grand Slams and kind of how those put out. And right, we went from having 4 events to 16 to 20 something to back to 20. Should we go to 40? Should we go to 8? And do those changes in things every year, like how we handle points, how we handle matchups, are those allowed? But let's start with rules. Do you think that we've been too conservative over the years with rule changes?
It's a hard question. I think that I don't think we've been too conservative. I do think though that we like to compare ourselves to some like very established national leagues in sports, and they're not doing drastic changes. So we don't necessarily want that because we in it want to feel like we're a part of something of that caliber. Um, I don't think I'm probably side with you, Mike, where I don't think we've done anything out of reason or like too far yet. Whether I think we should is a whole nother discussion, but we might be trending towards it.
I I think that the earliest season that even could have justified a Jurassic rule change could have been 2019. I think before 2019, like there would have been no reason to make a Jurassic rule change, and I don't even think Jurassic rule changes necessarily would have been needed in 2019. But I think like you could have justified it then, and before then, like I don't think it was needed. But it's just kind of as we've developed, we've kind of discovered we needed to make changes, and so. Yeah, so I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing in the future, and I'm kind of like some people they don't want it to change because they wouldn't benefit them. Cerebral
Right.
doesn't benefit me, so like I want it to change. Like I want to see some changes because it will benefit me. So that's I'm like on the.
You're like I'm not doing so hot right now. I could use some. I'll use anything I can get.
Yeah,
But I think too, it's tough. It's like it's not even. I'm the one who brought it up, but it's not even about whether you're successful in it. Like for me, for the longest time, it's like I don't want to see anything that takes us too far away from what I grew up playing and really came to love. But now I think I'm getting more and more to the point, but it's because I've been out of the scene where I'm like, ooh, let's push the limits. I like this can still be fun and be something maybe better if we do push the limits.
I think it's a really hard thing to grasp. I get caught up a lot in when we talk about rule changes and the more drastic rule changes, which may be more warranted as we're seeing the game develop. But I've always struggled with the concept of like what is Roundnet. I know we've talked about that on the podcast before, and I think that's what's especially is really hard to grasp because it is right. It's I can't do the math, but right, it's only the sixth, seventh, eighth season, right? Like barely. So Roundnet is so young, right? Football in its 8th year, I guarantee, is incredibly different from what football is right now, right? Basketball, insanely, but again, it's so scary to want to change the game. I think there's a natural aversion to it, and I think especially what's hard is when you play some of these new rules or variations, they just feel different. And like the different may be good, but it's a very hard thing to grasp. And it's a hard thing to ask tens of thousands of people to do.
yeah, and I think like one thing people think of is like, okay, like if we make a rule change, how will it affect the overall growth of the sport? Will a rule change stunt the growth, or will it just be like is a rule change like I don't know, like surgery, or is it like a haircut? Like, like we change the rule and like, if we don't like the haircut, we just grow our hair back in the next season.
Yeah.
We go back to it. Or is it like it's surgery and like, it's kind of irreplaceable after that.
A season it is a long time, but it definitely feels like a long time, right? Like there are people, right? They have their whole season, they train and they go to so many tournaments, and for them it's a season where there may be more drastic rule changes and they don't really feel it works out, they could feel like it wasted their season. I think, from a macro standpoint, it's probably worth it, but it's hard to take away from those individual perceptions and those individual experiences. Right? For the sport, it's like, okay, it didn't really work out. That's okay. It was worth a try. But, that may be, 100 players that really just were disappointed in their season. And that's, as their biggest hobby and their biggest thing, is really hard to ask them to do.
Yeah. I feel like we've transitioned to like it's a philosophy podcast now. What is Roundnet? Like
what is it?
The individual is hurt by the massive rule change, but if overall is good for the sport, like
we're talking about utilitarianism, we're talking about everything.
What is Roundnet?
It's a good question.
Ask the man in the clouds.
Yeah. But it's just interesting.
Like, and that
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, I don't know. I kind of want us to have a little bit of that, like the haircut mentality, or like, hey, like, let's try this, and like, we can go back, but we can do it. Like, we're discovering more. Maybe we make a rule change, and overall 75% of it is bad. But if we find it 25%, like, oh, this is good. How can we work with this?
Right.
And I think just kind of seeing it in an experimental way with the sport being so young and having so much potential still, as long as we're not just like totally like changing everything. I think there's a lot of potential in just testing it out in like, like real live production environment R&D.
Right. Yeah. All right, let's swing to the other one, which is kind of the changes of the SRA season. As I was getting off, we haven't done too many drastic changes about our format. We've kind of stuck to the four regions. Well, we went from 3 to 4 at one point, but the 4 regions, they each have the tour stops and a Grand Slam. We do regionals and nationals. The one thing that has been the most drastic was kind of the nationals format and how regionals and nationals interact. Like we go from power pools to no power pools to then pro division. But with that, like, do you feel, I guess, comparing it to the rule side, do you think that warrants being even more drastic or more conservative? What do you think?
I think that that's something that will probably change more frequently and more often over time, just because it does typically deal with the top 1% of players, the most invested, the ones that are trying to like find the right way to get it down. And I think with each change, the goal is to give the best opportunity for the best players to be in the best position, as it should be. But that can improve over time, and whether that changes year for year has a less, I think, overall impact on the grand scheme of things as compared to like a major rule change or a product addition or something like that.
Yeah, I think we have to find, so kind of opposite rules. We're not really sure where we're going. We just kind of, we have some ideas, but we just want to improve on some things. Where I think on the other side, we could try to think of a vision of what do we think our sport looks like? For some, right, it may be tournament series. For some, they may think it's a league, right? I remember back in the day, I'm going to shout out Ian Golembeski, him and I in like 2015 maybe, we're trying to think of a way where we can have like an 8-team pro league. How much would it cost to have like 8 events where they all came in and they all played and it was huge? But like that's what I thought the future was then. Like we had just 8 teams and we qualify them somehow and they're professionals and we watch it like you watch the NFL, right? And that's what I was thinking. But there's also the other completely different route, which is we have now, which is the tournament scene. There's something where you could have tournaments completely separate from a funnel of tour stops to regionals to nationals. You could just have tournaments all year. And I think we can, over time, we'll naturally see where our sport goes to, but we could also have a vision in mind and make small tweaks to that until we kind of reach it.
Yeah. And I think even like what you're pointing out, I think it's possible that like 2 types of things can exist as well. Like you can have like a really solid like tournament scene, and there could also be like a pro scene that's very more focused, and maybe these pros are still playing in tournaments, but there's still kind of like a scene with that as well. And right. Yeah, I think what you're saying is like right now I think we know we want to go north, but we don't have an address exactly. So it's like we have an idea if we want to go, but we don't know this exactly what it looks like. And so it has to like those small tweaks are super important in doing that.
Right. And I don't think we need to be that drastic because right, we're just working our way there. We're seeing what works, we're taking the good, we're moving it, we're adding our new learnings, but we know we're heading in the right direction.
I'm not against some drastic jumps every now and then.
Well, do you want to head east instead?
Either like as long as we're heading northeast.
Yeah. No, and I think I'm with that too. I'm saying like if we know what we want, we could also get there. I think it's very different from how we stand with the rules right now, where we're kind of hard. We're not sure it. I guess it's harder on how to get there. That's the issue with the rules. We kind of know what we want. It's harder to figure out. It's harder to figure out how to get there, where you can easily kind of maybe map out where we want to go on the format side.
I think the hard part too is everyone's north is a little different. What we want varies. And so we all think we're driving north, but where we get, people might be a little surprised. And
yeah,
I mean, that's like all things in life, but the more I think as a community we can get on a cohesive same page, the faster it'll sort of snowball.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Logan. Did you have one closing thought?
I was just gonna say maybe in 100 years, rugby and soccer have the same roots. Maybe in 100 years, there's two vibrant sports, that come out of this, and people are playing it two different ways.
Maybe.
Psych ball and spike ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Arena Roundnet and Speaking of that, Boston's getting an arena football team soon. I'm stoked. Get season tickets for like $120. That's a steal. And we're the Pirates, I think.
Hey, a few more years without Tom Brady, and those tickets will drop. Don't worry.
All right, let's go into the questions. There were a lot of questions about these 2021 rules changes in SRA format, so I will say that we do not have any information on them. I have seen them, so I do know them, but we're not sharing that. We're still ironing them out, and that's for the SRA to do their big reveal. But we'll see if we can get some inklings from Jack, Scotty, and Nora and the team for you soon. But no promises just yet. But I'm gonna throw this one in. I hope this is a quick, fun one. Best jerseys of all time. I'm gonna say easily for me, Buns and Guns. Which I don't know if you can really search that or will you'll find it, but they were just these cool, bright jerseys with the hilarious logo, a spike ball with biceps and a bun and a man bun. You can't beat that. That just comes to mind as easy favorite.
Was that a Jenna design?
I think it was a Jenna Coleman design. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Oh, that just comes to mind as an easy favorite.
See, I didn't love the ones that had the characters or like pictures like that on. I was just like the sleek ones that were I don't know, like I don't necessarily have I don't have this is my favorite jersey of all time, but I just like that style, like the sleek soccer jersey kind of style.
Yeah, I probably side with Logan too. Although I can appreciate the more complex ones, but the ones that come to mind is I think it was Anchored. They had a pretty almost like a baseball jersey or esque.
Yeah.
What about Strange's baseball one?
Those were cool. Those were cool.
But no, Anchors had a couple that their colors just really work.
Yeah. I like their colors. Yeah.
Anchored. I'm trying to think of some other of my favorite.
I know a lot of people like the old school Bare Necessities jerseys, if y'all remember them. Chase Ehrig and Andrew Porter's.
The green and brown ones.
They're very colorful. Had this cartoon bear on it. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people like those.
I did like the fire extinguishers. Speaking of Texas, very simple, but the fire color is just pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I shout out Do a Barrel Roll. I love the purple. We don't have enough purple in the Roundnet scene.
Yeah. We're not regal enough.
And then, so do you guys, either of you know what used to be on the Monkey Business jerseys? Because it had some sort of writing on it, and I loved those because those were really simple.
Oh, I think they were just newspaper articles about monkeys.
Oh, really?
I mean, I'll put myself at 70% sure that's it.
Well, that's pretty great.
Just passing, but not too. I'm pretty sure it's newspaper articles about monkeys doing stuff.
Was their font was a cursive Monkey Business?
Yeah, it was like a cursive. I don't even know if there was a logo. I thought it was just cursive writing. But I like those. I like those jerseys.
I'm sure the Y. I feel like the Y was a monkey tail. I feel like that had to be the case.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna see if any other famous come to mind. Spicy Dirt. Spicy Dirt had some fire jerseys. I loved those. But those are my top right now.
The favorite. I mean, my favorite jerseys were the Jenna Coleman made like these black A&M jerseys. Those are really sick, and then her Elysium jerseys. Those two are my favorite of hers.
Is Jenna back doing some Roundnet stuff?
Yeah, she's working on some jerseys for our Lone Star guys right now.
Yeah. Hit her up. What is it? Oh, she had a new Instagram. I forgot what it is.
Yeah.
The J.
Designs of Roundnet.
Designs of Roundnet. Check her out. She does some great stuff. She made all my jerseys back in the day. Great work.
Same.
All right. And currently also for you. All right. We got a fun one here. Is Guy Fieri good or bad?
It's a very ambiguous question.
Oh, easy question. Great guy. Guys Grocery Games, most underrated show on television. His food's kind of probably overrated, but he's a good guy.
I can say that I do not have enough information on Guy Fieri. I don't honestly. I couldn't even.
Fieri.
Yeah. See, there you go. That tells you all you need. I'm abstaining from answering this question.
I think that he makes good TV. It's entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think his broader impact on society is good? Probably not. The amount of food he eats from diners, drive-ins, and dives.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't say that I change the channel when he comes across the Food Network.
I'm going to plug again Guy's Grocery Games. Unbelievable show. Mixes the fun of supermarket sweep with the fun, with like some Iron Chef stuff. And they give a lot of money to charity. They're very nice, very fun. Watch it out on Food Network. Big Guy Fieri guy over here.
I think we're gonna get a Grocery Games sponsored ad.
Yeah, we're gonna get ad sponsored on YouTube because of this. Two others. I think this was an interesting one. See if we can tackle it quick. Should Spikeball Roundnet seasons be just in the summer? What do you think?
I think the length of summer varies quite a bit depending on where you are in the world.
That is true.
So I would say yes. Although it is fun, like I played in some fun, rainy, cold tournaments. Yeah. I wouldn't want that all the time, but it's a nice mix up.
I kind of like. I get an antsy at the start of the year, but I wouldn't mind if it started in late April or May. You sign up for these tournaments and you go, and California is a little different, but right, we have March in Atlanta. It can be pretty cold. I like that, and I think it works where we have the season ending in September, October. I like how it's even a little earlier October nowadays, but I kind of like this idea. I think we don't need to get too heavy in the spring. I think that's my take. I think the summer is plenty long. We can do our championship in September, October. The season ends up feeling very long, but maybe that's just kind of the current format we have.
See, I like the length of it because it gives you the opportunity to go to, and it also depends on how many tournaments there are total, but it gives you the opportunity to go to multiple events without having to commit 5 straight weekends to it. You can do that if you want, but you can still go to 5 events without it being 5 weekends. So
right, it could be over 5 months. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. That's a good point.
Plus, it allows you to have independent events.
Well, I'm trying to leave space for independent events. Taser's running that preseason tour.
That's fair. That's fair.
Hey, I'm leaving it open for you. All right, last one was wrapped up here. That I hope I can give some insight on what I was thinking about, but it was tips for content creators in Roundnet. There's a lot of really good ones that popped up this year specifically. I want to give. We can see if you guys have any things to say. I thought my main tip, I think, is do what you like. I like sitting here and talking with Logan and Shaun. For years, I wrote articles. I didn't really like that as much. I would much rather talk about things, and so that would end up where I wouldn't do those, or I would skip them, or I wouldn't really want to, or they wouldn't be my best work. Whereas I enjoy doing this, so I think do that. And then my other real advice is just kind of send it and don't I get nervous when we do these things and we post these things and all of the articles and all the things, but I think that's just part of the fun. and people will get to know you and they'll enjoy it. So just kind of do what you like, and just see what people think of it. It'll probably go better than you think.
Yeah, and I'd say just like challenge yourself as well on the way, and don't let that keep you from sending it, like Mike's saying. But like, look to learn new skills. Like if you love, doing podcasts, look for ways to like make higher quality audio. Like look to podcasts that you really enjoy. Like how can I make it more high quality like that? How can I produce better quality content? If you like creating edit videos, like iMovie's cool, but start to look ahead. Like okay, how can I create more advanced videos? How can I create more professional highlight videos or different types of videos, whatever you're doing? And like, that's one thing that, I know How to Roundnet gets a lot of shout outs, but like they've pushed it. They've started to create cooler content and learned skills and done better, and writers done awesome in that. So, and like those technical skills. So yeah, like whatever you want to do, whether it's like, if you want to create jersey designs, like learn a skill, learn to do whatever software you use better, or learn to get a better software, work up to that. And so I think, again, the same mindset I have with like running like a organization is like, hey, let's do it professionally, make it better. But it's the same thing with content creation. Like look at other content creators in other industries and see how they're doing it, and become more professional, and make what you're doing as professional as possible, one piece at a time, and just be willing to do it.
He says as professional as possible with a cloud background.
Dude, Cloud9, man.
Cloud9.
You're professional. I agree with both you guys' points. I think it is most ideal if you do enjoy what you're doing, because then you will have that motivation to learn, like you're talking about Logan, or to try new things, or to push the limits. And more specifically, I guess, with Roundnet, I would say find your niche. So if that's creating beginner content for people to just learn the basics, or having these crazy montage highlights with a fun soundtrack and cuts, or whatever it may be, and stick to that and remain consistent and like build that brand, because at the end of the day, that's what content is. It's giving people something to entertain them, and they know what they're going to get. So I think there's a lot of opportunity. There's some players that have been doing it really well so far in the community, and they're starting to actually pick up some steam, sort of learning the craft. But I think the future is bright just for sort of individual, whether it's ambassadors or players or whoever, that start picking up the content train.
Yeah.
You have the opportunity to get Amazon stock at $1. You just got to buy in.
Got to buy in.
But, all right. Thanks, guys. And shout out to all of our Roundnet content creators. I appreciate you. I know Izzy here at Spikeball really appreciates you, and all your viewers do. So they love it. The best, but you always have these secret appreciators. Your video will have 300 views. It'll have 10 likes and 3 comments, but know that there are 300 people that watched that and probably enjoyed it. So there you go.
Gotta start somewhere.
Yeah.
That's what I always tell myself when no one watches my stuff. Like all those hidden appreciators are out there, man. YouTube just didn't.
YouTube just count. They didn't count the views. They just didn't count them.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're on the trending page. It just didn't count. But all right, cool. I'll end it with a spiel. This is on the SRA YouTube page. They got the cool Featured Friday stuff coming out every Friday, as well as some other cool content and these podcasts. So if you're on this, please subscribe. And if you're listening to this on a podcast app, subscribe there as well. Or give it a thumbs up or a 5-star, whatever that is. I don't really know what I'm doing here, but I think you're supposed to do this stuff. But
smash that like button.
And smash the like button. Appreciate you. Thank you, everyone, for the questions for the Instagram. We'll do that from the SRA Instagram. We'll do that again. Follow the SRA Instagram. And, yeah, that's the whole thing. I think we'll have another episode actually coming for you next week, a little Christmas surprise. So be on the lookout for that one.
Not surprised anymore. You told them.
Yeah, but they didn't expect it now. They're like, ooh, there's an episode now, which means we won't get one until January. And now this is the surprise.
That's fair.
This is the surprise.
No, what you have to do, they have to put their phones in a box, and then you got to put it under the tree, and they can't listen until Christmas morning.
Okay. I'll do that too. All right. Thank you guys for listening. We'll talk to you later. Peace.
Oh, man.